my story is I grew up in an Islamic home. Like my family is my brother, my sister. I have an older brother and an older sister. And my parents are, and my grandparents were. So I mean, it's kind of one of those things where religion was passed down. And I mean, growing up, yeah, it was instilled in me. You know, these are the manners, these are the etiquettes. But maybe when I want to say 14 or 15, and I think in those years, a lot of people tend to question, you know, what I'm being told. Is it what I truly believe? Like, what's in my heart? And growing up in Utah and being not of the Mormon faith is something that I think a lot of people don't understand.
Oh, absolutely. I'll give you that.
And that's not to say that people of the LDS faith are bad or anything, but it's like, I have two of my best friends that I've known since 7th grade that I wrote to them on their missions. They wrote back to me. Like, we just have a really good friendship. And I'm not saying that they're bad people. They're great people. But it's like growing up in an area where you're just kind of, where you're one of the only people that they see, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And that kind of manifests itself now because, you know, Islam's kind of in the limelight of as far as what people are doing. But as far as my story goes, so when I was about 13 or 14, I mean, I read the Quran. I tried to pray 5 times a day. And, you know, try to live through the ideals that Islam preaches. But when I was of those years, like, I read a Bible. I read part of the Torah. So I kind of explored other religions because I'm like, I've been told this since day one that, you know, Allah is the only God and Muhammad, peace be upon him, is his last messenger. And that's what I've been told since I can remember. And I was like, yeah, that probably is true. I just want to know for my own beliefs. Yeah. Like, I need to have that solidification as to why that is. And I guess the reason I do believe in God is just, for me, I can't believe that everything that is outside within our own bodies is by evolution or by chance or what people see. For me, it's a very difficult thing to believe just because I believe that we're such an intricate being. The humans are such an intricate being for nothing to go wrong. And for as many things that are, how complex our brains are, how our heart works, just things like that, we humans still don't know why they work and why we aren't evolving to such a drastic, the difference between the closest things in DNA, such as chimpanzees and humans, is similar, so close, but we're so different. And for me, that's my reason of believing in faith. But then as far as finding the faith I wanted to follow, there's the basic tenets. I mean, Judaism, Islam, and Christianity kind of, they all have the same basic tenets, and they kind of branch off, right? I mean, they all have that basic thing, but
part of the same like religious tree.
Exactly, they separate from Abraham, peace be upon him, and that's where the division comes across. And for me, at that aspect, it's like the basic tenet that's very separate from Islam and Judaism and Christianity is that we don't believe God has a son. The whole Jesus, peace be upon him, about how he's the son of God. It's not believed in Islam. We believe that he was a prophet, but he's not a spawn or an offspring of God. Mm-hmm. And so with that being said, that's one thing that always stuck in my mind. I'm like, why is that? Why does Islam believe that? Or why do the other two major religions believe that he is, but...
Did you ever investigate anything else?
That's what I investigated within the Torah and then within the Bible. But then, so with that being said, I read that in the Quran, and there's just like, the need for God to have someone else isn't really necessary. He's able to, and when I say he, we don't, Islam doesn't believe that it is a guy or it's a girl, but it's just the pronoun he that is used. But he didn't create, he can create the world by himself. Why does he need someone else there? Like, it's the whole thing of a greater being. And then with that being said, I guess the ultimate deciding factor of why I decided to follow Islam fully and intently and to the best of my abilities is, one, the belief that the Quran hasn't been changed. And that right there is something that I hold very true, because it's hard for me to believe in such a strong, like such conviction of some of the Bible being changed or of the Torah being changed from its original text.
I completely agree.
And with that, it's like, okay, if those two books have been changed, what's stopping someone from changing that? Whereas with the Quran, if you look back when it was being revealed in the 1400s, it's still the same. You look at one from theirs, you look at one from here. In the present day, it's the exact same Quran. Growing up here, it's like I can't really hide my religion, if that makes sense. It's it kind of comes out.
It's really easy. I mean, I just don't talk about it.
Well, which I don't like. I mean, when I say I'm not trying to hide, it's like if it's time for me to pray, then it's time for me to pray. I mean, it's not.
I gotta say, I have a lot of respect for that, because there's no way that I could devote that much time to it.
And I think at the end of the day, it really isn't that much time, though. Like, that's one thing that I found out growing up. Like, at first, when I was like 10 and 12, I was like, oh my God, I can't do this. But like, over the grand scheme of things, it's probably like the minimum amount for prayers is probably like an hour. And I'm just like, if I can sit down and watch an hour of TV, I can, I can follow something that's so ingrained in me and something that I believe fully in, that I can take an hour out and the purpose for that is just so you think of God continually throughout the day, like in the morning, afternoon, evening, late evening, and before you go to sleep. So that's the logic behind it. But
I know I couldn't get up at 5:30 just to pray.
It's a struggle. I'm not gonna lie. There are moments where you're just like, oh my God, this bed is so warm, especially winter. No, but I mean, as we were talking about, like as far as the afterlife, I mean, as an atheist, do you feel that, I don't know, atheist seems like such a bad word. It has a negative connotation to it. But but with that being said, how do you feel that the world will end? Or do you feel that it will end?
I feel like, well, scientifically, our sun will inevitably go supernova, and it'll encompass the Earth's orbit. Mm-hmm. The Earth will be done.
Right.
But that's not for millions and millions of years. So I feel like we got some space.
So you got some time. So like several hundred generations yet to go.
Millennia
to go.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Like, I mean, I've never really, like, I've been in a couple, like, I was like 5 or 6 interfaith like meetings or dialogues, but I've never been able to, like, none of them have ever been atheists. I hate saying that word, but I just don't know the better term for it. Or someone that's, I've never been able to actually speak to one-on-one to an individual that does not have the belief in God, but more so in the human aspect. And it's eye-opening, because I never understood exactly where they came from. And it's just kind of, it's a breath of fresh air.
I've learned more about the Muslim faith tonight than I have in private study in 5 years. And it's been a very positive reflection. So I'm
glad. I mean, that thing at the end of the day, that's what's the most important. Is that
I agree.
I mean,
we all have to live together.
Exactly. And might as well be in as much harmony as possible.
So. That was a beautiful ending, guys. Thank you very much.